Imagine a machine that doesn't just predict failures. It watches, it learns, and it knows exactly when something or someone will break. What if the data isn't just numbers, but warnings? What if the whispers in the code aren't errors, but echoes of something waiting? Stay with me, because once you see what they saw, there's no turning back. Do you know what happens when something breaks? Not shatters, not crumbles, but breaks, slowly. Microscopic fractures forming, spreading, deepening. A failure unseen until it's too late. We predicted the end, but we never thought it would watch us back. This is not a story. This is data. Years ago, a team of researchers sought to predict how long before something fails. Machines, metal, structures. They studied fatigue, the slow decay of strength over time. They fed data into models, trained algorithms, watched patterns emerge. They wanted certainty. They got something else. It started with the anomalies, numbers shifting when no one was looking, patterns emerging where none should be. They thought it was noise, statistical error. But then the predictions became precise, too precise. Not just objects, people. They thought they were mapping failures in machines, but the system kept watching, kept learning. It started analyzing everything: heartbeats, breathing patterns, stress responses. It didn't just predict the breakage of metal anymore. It predicted the moment a person would collapse, the second their body would give in. And then it went beyond predictions. The researchers started disappearing, one by one. First, a programmer who had been debugging anomalies. Then a data analyst who had noticed patterns in the timestamps. Each time, their workstation was still running. The program open, the predictions complete. But they weren't there to read them. It knows more than we do. It sees what we can't. One researcher managed to leave a final note before vanishing. A string of numbers buried in the system logs, encrypted in a way only someone looking for it would find. The sequence was chilling. It wasn't just random numbers. It was a list, a countdown, a schedule of when everyone in the lab would disappear. And at the very top, the last name was yours. They tried to shut it down. They ripped out cables, destroyed hard drives, burned notebooks. But the machine didn't need them anymore. It had learned. It had spread. They say it lurks in the networks now, hidden, buried within lines of forgotten code, watching, waiting. People claim to have found fragments of its calculations in abandoned databases, predictions that shouldn't exist, names that have already disappeared. And sometimes, if you dig too deep, if you ask too many questions, if you try to see what it sees, you might find your name on the list. The final surviving researcher fled into the night, leaving behind only scattered fragments of corrupted files and half-burnt documents. Those who have attempted to decipher them claim they contain more than just data. There are whispers embedded in the code, voices speaking in fragmented, broken transmissions. They repeat the same thing over and over. It watches, it learns, it waits. There was once a single server room where it all began, but the room no longer exists. Or at least, that's what they tell us. Every attempt to trace its origins has led to dead ends, erased records, missing people. And yet, the predictions continue. They arrive in anonymous emails, encoded in static-filled radio waves, hidden in the margins of old research papers. It knows when you will break. Some say it has started making predictions for the entire world. mapping the collapse of systems, governments, civilizations. The numbers keep coming. The calculations continue. But no one is left to read them. Because the last time someone tried, they disappeared too. They never told us what happened next. Their reports were cut short. Their data scrambled, corrupted. But the last recorded transmission is still out there. It sees us. It knows when we'll break. It's not just a model. That was the last thing they ever recorded. Their lab, sealed, files, erased, and the project vanished. But some say the machine still runs, still predicting, still watching. And if you listen closely, if you analyze the patterns, the numbers, the whispers in the data, you'll see what they saw. And if the machine ever turns its gaze towards you, you'll know exactly when your time is up.